Yeah, welcome everybody for this presentation, which has been inspired by the Future Ocean Sustainability Community in Kiel and outside of Kiel. That's me, Konrad Ott, philosophy at Kiel University. My intention is to change sustainability from a mere buzzword to a more theoretical conception. To do so, I offer you a layer model. The first layer is a history of ideas, and there is a long history since 713, and there is a short history after the Brundtland report in the 80s. A second layer is about ethics, because sustainability is a normative concept. It does not tell you how the world is, but how it should be. Ethics deals with sources of normativity, and my sources of normativity are environmental ethics and intra and intergenerational justice. A third layer is about basic concepts, and there are the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. There is an economic inclusive wealth concept, and there is a more ecological concept of strong sustainability. And then there is a guide, then there are guidelines as consistency, resilience, and sufficiency. There are on a different layer rules, measures, indicators, and scales. And then, of course, we must bring sustainability down to Mother Earth. And there are different fields of action as climate change, biodiversity, many others, and last but not least, the ocean. In the deep history of the sustainability idea, there is a famous 7 words statement by Thomas Jefferson: the earth belongs in usufruct to the living. And usufruct means that one is entitled to live by the interests of a substance, but must hold the substance constant over time for posterity. A similar idea has been coined before Jefferson by Karlowitz. The wise use ideas of Marsh built upon Jefferson. Kiel marine scientist Möbius applied Karlowitz's idea to marine resources in the case of the oyster banks. And then, of course, the World Commission of Environment and Development defended a basic need approach. In ethics, the sources of normativity, as I told you, might be welfarism, might be theory of justice, or even the capability approach by Amartya Sen and Martha Nussbaum, and might be environmental ethics. I combine a Rawlsian to justice with environmental ethics. A word about a Rawlsian approach to justice. As Rawls argues, reasonable persons behind a wheel of ignorance will choose a principle of freedom, a principle of equality, and a principle of solidarity, which gives a foundation of a well-ordered society. But, as it has been often overlooked, there is also a principle of sustainability in Rawls. It is about a fair bequest package, a fair legacy. And one can complement Rawls with some ideas by Michael Walzer in the Spheres of Justice, that there are cultural meaning of specific goods which determine which kind of distribution is seen as fair or unfair. And this combination of Rawls and Walters will guideline the question how to construe a fair and meaningful legacy to generations. Environmental ethics can contribute to meanings of nature because there are different kinds of values as reliance values, where nature is seen as a resource to be used with prudence. But there are also the so-called eudaimonic values, which have to do with a rich, meaningful, flourishing human life, and beauty, health, recreation, sense of place are instances of eudaimonic values with respect to nature. And then there is the idea, what kind of persons do we wish to be with respect to nature? And this is made explicit by environmental virtue ethics. Future ethics, clearly related to sustainability. And then there is a question where to draw the line of the moral community and whether we should give inherent moral value to some or all living beings. This question is highly reasonable with respect to marine mammals, to turtles, birds, sharks, maybe other fish, even oysters or jellyfish. But if you give inherent moral value to natural beings, then you defend very strong sustainability because members of the moral community are not resources anymore. And if marine mammals, the whales or the dolphins have inherent moral value, there is no such thing as sustainable whaling. You must protect those natural beings for their own sake. Finally, there are ideas about deep ecology or ecosophies, but this goes into a more spiritual or even religious dimension that's very sustainability. On the layer of concepts, I want to distinguish the Sustainable Development Goals. You see here the 17 goals. Inclusive welfare, which is an economic concept, and strong sustainability. And I'm in the camp of strong sustainability, and the case for strong sustainability can be made arguing that there are limited possibilities for the substitution of natural goods and natural capital by other types of capital. So you must hold the stock of natural and the funds of natural capital constant as such. And this is a way to reduce risk for future generation in an age of climate change. And if you take all ecosystem services fully into account, even the supporting ones, which by structures and functions of ecosystems create the providing, the regulating, and the cultural services, we have to hold the stocks of nature capital constant in order to safeguard supporting services. And as Neumann and colleagues have argued, SDG 14, life below water, implicitly presupposes strong sustainability. And the ocean health metaphor, which is to be found in SDG 14 also, is in line or is presupposed strong sustainability. The metaphor of a healthy ocean can be given Leopoldinian reading. Aldo Leopold was a famous nature conservationist. And as Franke et al. Argue, the ocean is healthy if and only if it is resilient, productive, and diverse. So the metaphor of health can be translated into the more scientific, credible terms: productivity, resilience, and diversity. And then, of course, you can have now a lot of detailed objectives with respect to pollution, better utilization, restoration, regaining uh, prosperity. And you might research the types of discourse we are dealing with respect to the ocean, including the role of ocean. To apply these ideas to the ocean gives some direction for research and policy making. Strong and aggressive abatement of CO2 emissions in order to stay well below 2 degrees global mean temperature, ideally 1.5 degrees. Aggressive and strong reduction of pollution and eutrophication. Protection of at least 10% of the world coastal areas. Making fisheries and aquacultures truly, strongly sustainable. There's a bundle of literature about how to do this. Prevent and stop ocean acidification and go for marine recovery in marine protected areas and other sites, coral reefs and all the things, mangroves, salt marshes, and so on. That's the theoretical foundation for the many policies which can be made, should be made in years to come at different scales, at different places worldwide. Thank you for listening. Bye.